The cabin stood alone, deep in the woods, a crumbling monument to forgotten times. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared out at the encroaching darkness. The forest pressed in on all sides, a sea of whispering pines and gnarled oaks. Their branches, twisted and ancient, seemed to claw at the cabin's rotting timbers. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind. It was the kind of silence that felt alive, pregnant with unseen menace. A sense of foreboding descended. The woods held their breath. The cabin waited. 4 friends approached, their laughter echoing through the trees, their spirits high and carefree.
Hey, this place is gonna be great. Just wait and see. Trust me, you'll love it.
Alex, the leader, brimming with false confidence, always the one to take charge, even when unsure.
I don't know, Alex. This place gives me the creeps. Are you sure about this?
Emma, his girlfriend, her eyes already scanning the shadows, feeling an unease she couldn't shake off.
Come on, Emma. It's just an old cabin. Nothing to worry about. We'll be fine.
Josh, the joker, trying to mask his unease with humor, hoping to lighten the mood.
I have a bad feeling about this. Something doesn't feel right.
And Rachel, quiet and watchful, always the observer, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Sensing the shift in the atmosphere, the trees swaying ominously, the fog rolling in, creating an eerie ambiance. They had come seeking peace, a weekend retreat from the city's clamor, hoping to find solace in nature, a chance to reconnect with nature and each other, to laugh and share stories around a campfire. The cabin, rented sight unseen, had promised rustic charm and isolation, a perfect getaway. Now, as they drew closer, doubts crept in. The laughter faded, replaced by a growing sense of unease. The silence of the woods pressed in, suffocating their joy, the light barely penetrating through the dense canopy. The cabin loomed larger, its dark silhouette a stark contrast to the fading light, casting long shadows. It was no longer a haven. It was a trap, a place where their fears would come to life. Inside, the cabin was cold and damp, the chill seeping into their bones. Dust lay thick on every surface, untouched for years, and the air hung heavy with the scent of decay, a testament to the passage of time. The furniture was old and unsettling, relics of a forgotten past, shadows clinging to its warped shapes. They built a fire, hoping to bring some warmth and light, the crackling flames casting dancing shadows on the walls, creating an illusion of life in the desolate space. As darkness fell, the stories and laughter returned, a fragile barrier against the growing unease. They huddled together, trying to stay cheerful, but the unease was palpable. But the silence of the woods seemed to seep into the cabin, an oppressive presence whispering through the cracks in the walls, as if the forest itself was alive and watching. The wind moaned down the chimney, a low and mournful sound, echoing their own fears. It was a sound that seemed to come from the depths of the earth itself.
Did you see that? Something moved over there. I swear I saw it.
Emma swore she saw something move in the corner of her eye, a fleeting shadow, a flicker of darkness that vanished when she turned her head, leaving her heart pounding.
You're just imagining things, Emma. It's just the shadows playing tricks. The shadows can be deceiving in this light.
Josh's jokes grew forced, his laughter hollow, as the weight of the cabin's eerie atmosphere pressed down on them all. A sudden bang shattered the uneasy peace. It came from upstairs, a loud, resonant boom that echoed through the cabin. Silence descended once more, thick and heavy.
Probably just an animal, but I'll go check it out.
Alex, his bravado returning, grabbed a lantern. The others followed, their faces pale in the lantern light. The stairs creaked ominously under their weight, each step a testament to the cabin's age and decay. The attic was a single, cramped room, lit by a single dusty window. Cobwebs hung like macabre decorations, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew and forgotten things. In the center of the room sat a wooden chest, its lid slightly ajar. Inside the chest, they found a jumble of yellowed papers and leather-bound books, each one seemingly more ancient than the last. One book, its cover devoid of any markings, seemed to draw their attention. It was as if the book itself was calling out to them, urging them to uncover its secrets. Its pages were filled with faded ink, the handwriting spidery and strange. The ink had bled into the paper over time, making the words even more difficult to decipher. As they huddled around the book, Rachel began to read aloud. Her voice trembled slightly, the weight of the words pressing down on her.
The words were chilling, a desperate warning from a soul long gone. The journal's author had clearly been terrified, their fear palpable in every line. The writer spoke of an ancient evil that haunted the woods, a presence that fed on fear and despair. This malevolent force had driven them to the brink of madness. The journal spoke of strange symbols carved into trees, symbols that seemed to pulse with a dark energy, of rituals performed under the blood moon. These rituals were meant to appease the dark force, but they only seemed to make it stronger. It was a chronicle of madness and terror, a plea for anyone who found it to turn back while they still could. The author had hoped that their warning would save others from the same fate.
A cold dread settled over them as Rachel read the final words. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows lengthening ominously.
"Beware the shadows," the journal warned, "for they are not your own." The warning echoed in their minds, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the light.
They slept little that night, the journal's words echoing in their minds. Every creak of the cabin, every sigh of the wind seemed to confirm their worst fears. The shadows seemed to deepen, taking on sinister shapes in the flickering firelight. Alex tried to maintain a facade of calm, but even he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Emma was pale and withdrawn, her eyes darting nervously around the room. Josh's usual humor had deserted him, replaced by a nervous tension that bordered on panic. Only Rachel seemed strangely calm, her gaze fixed on the flames as if seeking answers in their dance. She had been the one to read the journal, to give voice to its chilling warnings. And now, a strange sense of responsibility settled upon her. Morning did little to ease their fears. The forest seemed to press in closer, the trees like silent sentinels guarding a dark secret. And as they ventured out into the woods, they discovered something truly unsettling. Carved into the trunks of several trees were strange symbols, identical to those described in the journal. They were crudely made, as if etched in haste, but their meaning was clear. This was no accident. This was a warning, or perhaps an invitation. The symbols seemed to radiate an unnatural coldness, a palpable aura of malice that sent shivers down their spines. The forest, once a source of peace and tranquility, now felt threatening, alive with unseen eyes. Section 8. The Shack of Shadows. They followed a trail of the symbols deeper into the woods, drawn by a morbid curiosity they couldn't explain. The air grew colder, the sunlight struggling to penetrate the dense canopy above, and then they saw it. A small, ramshackle shack, half hidden amongst the trees. It was far more dilapidated than the cabin, its walls on the verge of collapse. The single window was boarded up, and the door hung precariously from its hinges. As they approached, a sense of overwhelming dread washed over them. The air around the shack crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable aura of evil that made their skin crawl. It was a place of nightmares, a focal point for something ancient and monstrous. Section 9. Facing their fears. The door creaked open with a groan, revealing a single, dimly lit room. The air inside was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something metallic and foul. Strange artifacts littered the floor and walls, bones, rusted blades, and crude effigies fashioned from twigs and animal fur. As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them with a resounding boom. Panic surged through the group, their fragile composure shattered. They rattled the door, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped. The shadows in the shack seemed to writhe and twist, taking on grotesque shapes that mocked their fear. Whispers seemed to emanate from the walls, whispering their names, promising pain and oblivion. Section 10. A lone survivor. What happened next was a blur of terror and madness. The evil that haunted the woods, drawn by their fear, manifested in a whirlwind of violence and despair. The shack became a crucible, a test of their sanity and their will to survive. One by one, they fell victim to the darkness. Josh, driven mad by fear, succumbed to a gruesome end. Emma, her screams echoing through the woods, vanished without a trace. Even Alex, his bravado finally broken, met a fate too horrible to describe. Only Rachel, her mind strangely clear amidst the chaos, managed to escape the shack's clutches. She emerged into the cold light of dawn, her clothes torn, her mind teetering on the edge of madness. Section 11. Return to silence. The cabin stood just as she had left it, the morning mist swirling around its base like a shroud. But the woods were silent now. The oppressive atmosphere lifted. The evil, having claimed its victims, had retreated back into the shadows. Rachel didn't look back as she fled into the woods, her mind unable to process the horrors she had witnessed. The silence of the forest, once so unnerving, was now a blessed relief. The cabin remained, a silent sentinel in the heart of the woods, a testament to the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the world, waiting for the unwary to stumble upon its secrets. The cycle was complete. The cabin waited for